As the 2024 NHL Draft approaches and we talk about all the top prospects that will be selected, we learn their names and stats, see their games and highlights, and fantasize about how they'd look on our team's rosters. We argue with our fellow fans about who our GM better draft or else, who our favorites are, and who they'd better not select, because if they do, I'm done. I've interviewed the Talking Habs and Don't Puck with Media crew, plus Flyers beat writer Jamey Baskow about what their hopes are this year for their teams during the first round of the draft. Here is what they had to say. What team or teams do you cheer for?
I cheer for the greatest hockey team of all time, the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, obviously, the Philadelphia Flyers is my number one. Always will be my number one.
Les Bleu, Blanc, et Rouge, the Montreal Canadiens.
So hi everybody, I'm Cam. So I'm your local Boston Bruins fan here on Don't Puck with Media, Pucking Around podcast and the Sin Bin, as well as Hybrid Nation. So go give us a like and a follow.
That's quite simple. I cheer just for the Montreal Canadiens.
Hockey, well, I like the Vegas Golden Knights, believe it or not. I got a soft heart, and I think it's possibly because of there's a few players I like over there. Nolan Patrick, for one. And I just I liked what they did at the expansion draft. They just torched everybody. They torched the league. And, so ever since, I like Mark Stone's grit. I think that he's got a lot of tenacity over there. I like it. I like him.
Obviously, the Bruins, they're my number one team. We don't have a first-round pick this year, which is depressing.
And there's no other secondary team or anything like that you cheer for?
The Florida Panthers, I'd say, is my secondary team.
I have other teams I won't say a rooting interest for, but I wouldn't mind seeing have success. I've always been okay with the Dallas Stars. Partially the reason why I picked them to win the Cup this year, but I also thought they were a pretty complete team just to begin with.
So, number one, Montreal Canadiens. Know that. Been part of Talking Habs for a while now. Love these guys. I also cheer for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Detroit Red Wings.
I mean, there's teams I could say I sort of like, but I only cheer for the Montreal Canadiens when it comes to hockey.
Now that Dave Haxtell is launched off of the Seattle Kraken, I have no real issue with them too.
And of course, I have obviously with writing for the Flyers, I do cheer for the Flyers. I'm going to be honest. I want them, even though I write for them, I want them to win. I want them to, excel. Now, do I get disappointed like I used to if they lose? No, I think all that's, gone to the wayside, and whatnot. But I do overall want them to win. So yeah, I'll root for the Philadelphia Flyers.
My second favorite team is the Colorado Avalanche, and it was actually my first NHL hockey game was the Colorado Avalanche versus the Boston Bruins, and it was when Ray Bourque was traded.
Probably
you don't cheer for anybody. You don't cheer.
Yeah, no, I don't say I cheer for another team, but there's teams I can say that are okay with me. I'd say if I had to put it on a pedestal, maybe Dallas's would be the next team that I'd.
But you're more like me. Like I cheer for Montreal. I don't cheer for. There are teams I'm okay with, but I don't cheer for anybody.
Yeah, it's more just Dallas and Seattle and now. Okay, I don't mind them, especially now that Hacksaw is gone.
For some reason, I don't know why. I have no idea. But the Minnesota Wild.
Flyers won. Everyone else, go muff yourself.
Third favorite is the Anaheim Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. As most of you could possibly imagine, that was because those movies were pivotal in my developing my passion for hockey. Gordon Bombay, Adam Banks, Charlie Conway, all those guys. And most importantly, Paul Kariya was my favorite Duck so far all time.
I'm going to be honest. I do also have a soft heart for the Habs. And I think it's because it's not me sucking up to you or nothing, Rick, but to be honest with you, I love their fan base. I think they're a very classy fan base. They're very passionate. They're diehards, so I like that. I like Montreal. They treat everybody with nothing but class. You could go there. You could wear Flyers gear. You could wear anything you want, or you could wear Vegas Golden Knights gear. You could wear, Anaheim Ducks, New Jersey Devils. You don't have a hard time. No. In Montreal, you're always treated with class and respect.
for your team and where they draft, who do you think they'll draft? And if different, who do you want them to draft?
So they're currently holding the number 12 pick at the moment. I don't think it's 100% solidified that they'll be picking at 12. There is a possibility that they can move up a little bit. They do have 2 first-round picks this year. They have their own plus Florida's.
Yeah, so with Montreal at 5th overall, there's a plethora of talent there, right? You got guys like Caden Lindstrom, who's got great size, a little bit of an injury history, but nonetheless great size there. You TJ Ginla, who I think just screams Montreal Canadian. I think from a skill, character, pedigree perspective, I think he's just a perfect fit on this team. That is who I want them to take at 5, and I think that's who they take at 5.
That's a tough question because there's nobody really knows who's drafting who in this year's draft for 2024.
I see them drafting Cole Yzerman. I think that the Flyers have craved an elite shot, and he has an elite shot.
For the Montreal Canadiens, you can make an argument for different players. I don't think Demidov is going to be there, although I do think that if he is there, there's a good chance Montreal could take him.
They do have Tyson Forrester, in the pipeline. He had a very good rookie season, but they need that finisher. They need a guy that knows how to put the biscuit in a basket.
The main thing they need is a number 1 center. Berkey Catton, who is in some of the who plays up in Canada right now, he would be a good player. He is really good on the transition. I like his game a lot. He can create plays. He's very fast, pretty good hockey IQ. And then Cole Yzerman, who is coincidentally enough from Newburyport, Massachusetts, where my girlfriend resides from. Her family actually knows that family pretty well.
I think you also have to kind of look at a guy like Cole Yzerman, but he has dropped a lot. He's a little one-dimensional, so I've kind of turned away from him. And I think for me, it's TJ Ginla is who I want them to pick, and I think based on how they've drafted Gordon and Hughes have drafted past couple years, I think that is who they end up picking.
It's a tough question. There, you can answer with anybody that's picked, potentially that's ranked, I should say, from 2nd to 16, 17. You could really put them anywhere. I think the Canadians are going forward, and I want them to go forward.
I think he's the best pure scorer in this draft. His defensive game could use work. His hockey IQ is so-so. I don't really care too much about his skating because I don't really think there's many 18, 19-year-olds that can skate truly well at that age.
I don't think TJ Ginla goes before 5. I don't. I think 1 or 2 of those defensemen are going to go. The kid from Michigan State, I forget his last name, and I think it's
Levchinov. Yeah.
And then that'll leave the Canadians with a plethora of high-end forward, top 6 forward talent.
I think Lindstrom will be there for Montreal to take, and I think there's a good chance that they could take Lindstrom.
They crave an elite shot. He's an elite talent. One knack on his game is that he's not a 200-foot player, which is absolutely false. Is he the best rounded 200-foot player? No. Does he play a 200-foot game? Yes. And that was quite evident second half of the season this past year. Look at all the clips. Watch all the games. I went back. I watched every single game. And that guy, he just honed in on that because he knew. He told me at the interview he knew he had to become a 200-foot player in order to even sniff the NFL draft. If you're not a 200-foot player, a lot of teams, pass up on you. So
they need a number 1 D-man as their number 2 need. They have 3 guys who I think are number 2s and another one who could potentially be that on the way in Oliver Bonk, but they don't have that solidified game-changing number 1 guy like a Makar Fox.
I believe that the Canadians will go with Caden Lindstrom, or if he's available, Ivan Demidov.
Look at the NHL, AHL, the different leagues and steps. You go from, say, CHL, right? What's the next step? AHL. So what do you got to do to make the next leap to the NHL? You have to round out your game. You got to get a little bigger, a little stronger.
And I think, to me, just reading about him, how he carries himself, the way he plays the game, the skill set he has now, and the pedigree he has, right? Being the son of a hockey legend in Jarome Iginla, I think he already knows how to act like a pro. I think at that maturity level as well. And that's something that the Canadians look for.
But the main need I want is a legit sniping left winger or a number one center, and Cat and Eiserman are the two guys I think
Definitely they fit the bill.
If Matvei Michkov signs with the Flyers in 2 to 3 weeks, because there is going to be an announcement supposedly at some point in June. If Matvei Michkov signs with the Flyers, I could see the Flyers doing a 180 and now selecting a defenseman. And I think on that particular occasion, I think they got Sam Dickinson on their radar from the London Knights.
I think Iginla, who a lot of people, I think the final ranking for him was 9. And I guess a lot of people think that that's a big stretch. But I think that's their target. I think they're looking at Iginla, and I think that that could be the pick.
But I'm hoping they pick Tej Iginla. I think he's a big power forward. He's a big boy, son of Hall of Famer Jerome Iginla, of course. He shows up when it matters most.
I also think Beckett Seneca is a possibility. He's somebody I haven't really researched into much yet, but I mean, you're hearing his name a lot. He seems like he's the type of player, character, and all that Montreal would go for, and so I think he's a possibility.
You know, I really, honestly, I'm happy with either one of them. I really am.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
But for me, I lean towards TJ getting a little more. I think he's more not only what they need, but I think he's got a higher ceiling than Caden Lindstrom.
He's a left-handed shot, but the guy's got skill up and down. He's very good with the power play. You saw it this year. I think that he would definitely be on the Flyers' radar. Not at 12. They'd have to move up a little bit to get him.
Right. Won't be mad with Demidov or Lindstrom, but I would prefer going with Tijigenla myself.
As far as, I mean, I do think it's Iginla. As far as who do I want Tijigenla.
Tijigenla is no slouch. I mean, he's, I think, 6 foot.
Yeah.
180 or 190 pounds. Like he's built pretty well. He's very strong too.
When you're talking about top 5 or maybe even past 8, now you're talking about the creme de la creme here. What are you going to give up in order to move up? The Flyers wouldn't have to give up much. Maybe they would give up, Florida's first and maybe a player, or, Florida's first and, maybe their pick at, at 12 to move up, or maybe a second round pick or something, and their pick at 12. They will know by the end of June if Matvei Michkov is going to sign with Philly. And if he does, I can see them reverting. And, yes, Sam Dickinson would be the best player available at that point, in my opinion. So I could see Sam being selected.
I think Lindstrom would be a good fit for you guys too, personally.
Not for me, but anyways, I'll do that in my interview. I want them to pick Iginla. I think he's the perfect fit. I think he's the player that they're looking for. I love his pedigree, his father, Jerome Iginla. I just think this kid could come into the NHL, in a season or two, and he'll take to the NHL pretty, he knows what it is to be an NHL player through his dad. I just think that's the guy. It's the guy I want. I've got a gut feeling now for a couple of months. I've been talking about it, and I think it's Iginla. The Bruins don't have a first-round pick. They could acquire one through trade, though. Your thoughts on that, and who would you realistically hope they can draft?
It's kind of hard to say. I want to say yes, that there is a hope that they will, but I don't think it'll be within the top 16 in my belief, unless Detroit wants Ullmark. Then maybe we get that at pick 15, maybe New Jersey, but I don't think New Jersey gives up the 10th overall pick. There are a couple teams, maybe Utah, but again, I don't think Utah's going to give up that 6th overall pick just for Linus Ullmark. So in terms of the top 16, the most realistic I could see would be San Jose's 14th pick or Detroit's 15th pick as a possibility. I don't think the Flyers would give it up at 12, but and I sincerely doubt that they do. But I see them at 14 or 15, possibly getting them.
There's some decent players there. So you might get a pretty decent player. It's a good draft. It's a good top 15 or so in this draft.
Yeah, and I mean it's actually right wingers at that draft. positioning too. So like
There's
there's
a
Liam
few.
Greentree, Tarek
Right.
Paraskak, and there's also Beckett Sinecki, I think is how
I
his name is
think
pronounced.
don't expect him there. I have a feeling he's going up a lot higher than that.
Okay, yeah, and I mean he's
You know
projected at
some.
13. Yeah, well, I have the names up. So to be fair, I am very much cheating. So, and I think that they're right wingers, but unfortunately, I think
Yeah.
a right winger is something Detroit needs, and I think it's also something San Jose needs. So I think getting that top 16 pick is going to be rough for the Bruins. So I don't think it's an early pick. I think I would rather take another pick next year.
How important is the first pick to your team's future?
I would say quite important. I know for a 5th overall pick, you'd usually expect either a first line forward or a first pair defenseman or a starting goalie if there is one that's good enough to be in the first round. But the guy we pick is more than likely either, if we somehow go defenseman, probably second pair or second line forward. Of course, Ivan Demidov and TJ Ginla both with Slavin on the wing. I would think Lindstrom goes at center, but
The most important pick they'll probably make in the rebuild. I'd say that they need to nail this pick.
Montreal's kind of right in the middle of a rebuild, and this pick would give them a top 6 winger that they need, a quality top 6 winger, and I think it's super important for their future.
Extremely important. 2017 shows a great example of that. Philly ended up landing the number 2 overall pick, picked Nolan Patrick, and how did that end up?
I mean, it's extremely important. Our first pick this year is going to be the final piece of the top 6 going forward, I think.
I think to get that one final piece to build around for the future, for the next decade plus, probably for the Canadiens, I think it's going to be quite important. However, I would argue that if you do move back, it is still very important, but I would say a little more important to pick at that 5th overall spot.
This is the most important, and I say that this is more important than nailing Matvei Michkov. And the only reason I say that is because at that particular time, if the Flyers didn't draft Michkov, they still had Cutter Gauthier, within their system.
Right.
They don't have that pedigree anymore.
Right.
You're looking at the Flyers prospect system. Yes, it's nice. It's good. I'd say it's good. Maybe maybe slightly under good. And I say that because there's a lot of 3rd and 4th liners I see. Not that top creme de la creme, with the exception for maybe Bonk.
If they make the right pick here, it could speed up the rebuild a little bit, and then it's an important pick because they can't make a mistake here. They can't. If they make another Jesperi Kotkaniemi pick.
Let's go through what the other 4 picks in that top 5 were. Number 3 was Miro Heiskanen in Dallas. Number 4 was Number 3 was Elias Pettersson. I apologize.
No, I don't think so. I thought you had it right. Heiskanen.
No, maybe it was Heiskanen. I'm sorry. It may have been. It was Heiskanen. That's right. Dallas got the number 3 pick. Number 4 was Cale Makar out in Colorado. Number 5 was Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
Out in Vancouver. All 3 of those guys are game-changing talents.
Yeah.
Top-end players at their respective positions.
Right.
That first-round pick is huge.
We probably won't be in the NHL this season, but whoever we take, whatever 4 we take, is going to be that winger to Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. And that's the top. Then the top 6 is set going forward. So it's crucial.
Unless they're confident that the guy that they do want, their
is going to
target
drop,
is going to be available. But I don't think in this draft can you even be confident on that because it's all over the place, right?
Aside from Michkov, it goes way down the list. Yeah, they got Denver Barkey, and I think that he's a very good selection. I think he's like a TK 2.0, but size, he's got to get bigger, stronger. He knows it. But aside from I'm talking about elite talent, elite like Michkov, elite. They don't have it. There's a significant drop after Michkov.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why I'm confident they will take, in my opinion, Ginla, is because I don't think they can take a chance that
on him falling
back, and if he's there, you grab him.
Flyers have had some good, not great first-round picks in recent memory. I think Tyson Forrester was a home run. I think that kid's going to be a future stud of this team for a long time.
So this is the most important selection for the Philadelphia Flyers. And that's why I say they crave that Cole Yzerman. I think that he would fill the void left from Cutter. Cutter is going to be a phenomenal goal scorer. Cole Yzerman is going to be a phenomenal goal scorer. That's the player I hone in on. They got Catton and stuff. I think Catton's going to be off the board by if the Flyers keep pick 12.
And a lot of people, if they pick Iginla, I think a lot of people are going to say that, oh, that's another Jesperi Kotkaniemi pick till he hits the league, and he's, so it's super important because they need to add another top six forward into this group.
Yeah, they need to nail it. This is the most important selection, I would say, in a very, very long time for the Flyers, even more important than Michkov. If they miss on, a team can only miss on first round selections just so many times. And that's what hurt the Flyers for so long. You're looking, this is how they ended up in this rebuild in the first place. Remember Nolan Patrick?
Not necessarily to start next season, but, within a year or two after that, they need to get a top six forward, a quality one in there. And they have an opportunity here.
So at the end of the day, that first round pick is huge, but at the same time, you need to be able to hit on some of those later picks too.
This forward, whoever it is that we take, is going to be one of the most important parts to the success of this team going forward and when we start coming out of this rebuild.
Not take a defenseman. Their defense is loaded right now in prospects and guys here. Not a defenseman. They need to capitalize on the forward pick this year. Yeah, but if they get the right guy, that helps speed up the rebuild a little
Without
bit.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's not Connor Bedard or Macklin Celebrini speed it up, but it does help a lot.
100%.
They had the second overall pick. That set them back at least 2 to 3 years with that selection alone.
It's an acronym called ABDG. Always be drafting goalies.
And we could be wrong.
Yeah, we could be. They could go Beckett Sinecki, but
yeah, no. Do you think your GM might move up somehow to the top 10?
Absolutely. If Matvei Michkov signs with Philadelphia here in 2 to 3 weeks, I assure you that the Flyers will move up 2 or 3 slots and grab Sam Dickinson. I see the writing on the wall, and if Jakob Chuck is there, maybe if they don't trade up, I could see maybe them selecting Jakob Chuck. And that would be a good pick in my eyes as well. But I really think there's a reason why they're scouting London very hard. Yes, they got Oliver Bonk and Denver Barkey. They know what they have in those two, especially in the playoffs and championships. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they want to see how some of these guys act in playoff time. They want to see how some of these guys act, during the OHL finals. So in my personal opinion, yes, there's a lot of, Flyers prospects that are within the London Knights, obviously. But I think there's a reason. I think they're really scouting, Sam Dickinson, Sam O'Reilly, and stuff like that. I really do. Matvei Michkov is the key. I think if Matvei Michkov signs, I could see the Flyers moving up 2 or 3 slots, grabbing Sam Dickinson. That's just my personal opinion. I see it. If at the very least, I could see them moving up from Florida's pick that they have at 30 overall. I can see them moving up maybe like around, 20, 22. The prices aren't as high to move up at that point. So it doesn't cost as much. So I can see them moving up, maybe grabbing a D-man there, if they grab a forward with the 12th pick.
Because I think Montreal might try to do that with the Winnipeg pick they've got.
I can see it. I definitely see it. I definitely see it. Again, Montreal is sort of in the midst of a rebuild, I'd say, in some way. In some way. So if you nail these 2 selections, just think about it. I mean, that could speed up the rebuild by 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I think they might try. I don't know that
and it's cheap.
Successful, but
they're cheap. If you nail your first picks, I mean, you're only paying them $850, $950, $925. So it's cheaper than paying an elite goal scorer, $7 or $8 million a year.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's the one way you can keep your cap down.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And what does that do? That affords, the extra cap space, to sign for, maybe Draisaitl here, when he's a free agent in 25, 26.
How excited are you for this draft?
Considering I believe Anaheim is picking third, I think Anaheim is picking third. I'm excited for them. They have a ton of questions I think they need to answer.
The draft is the best time of year, and honestly, each year it's like Christmas, it's like Hanukkah or whatever the celebrations are, in the holiday season to honor each and every religion.
I'm very excited because I've had this gut feeling about Iginla. When nobody was really talking about him as the Habs pick at number 5, slowly the talk started, and now there's a lot of people on it, and even the Habs apparently have met with him 4 times in the past season. So the interest is there, it seems.
I'm stoked, honestly. I'm incredibly excited. Of course, we have 5th overall for the 2nd year in a row. We also have another first-round pick that nobody knows what we're doing with it. Are we picking with it? Are we trading, using it to trade up? Are we trading down? Nobody knows what we're doing with the pick.
I'm very excited because this is going to be the potential guy you end up pairing up, I think, Michkov in this team's long-term rebuild success. And with the reports that there is a possibility Michkov could be brought over here this season and be bought out. I don't know.
We'll find out soon.
We're going to know by the end of June if he's going to be here or not. And it feels like the smoke's getting smokier with this after all these workout videos that he's starting to post in Flyers apparel. I don't think he's just doing that coincidentally. I think there's a reason behind that.
I'm pretty excited. Not only because again, we have an opportunity to draft a really high caliber prospect, high caliber talent, but really just again, after the first 2-3 picks, really how wide open it is.
I think they need to go for a defenseman, and because they're log jammed at center. I mean, I know Caden Lindstrom's it would be at pick 3, and then Artyom Levchinov. But
yeah, you got Levchinov and Silayev, that 6'7" guys is going to be up in that area.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best time of year, and it's the hype leading up to it. So, with that being said, you're going to see a lot of mock drafts. I'm going to do a mock draft here. See, there you go. Yeah. And I'm going to do a full mock draft with each team, each selection. I usually roll that out around Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up.
So I'm excited because if they do pick him, I mean, I called it way before anybody else would have seen it. I mean, that's really exciting, and I'm excited about this player.
I'm extremely excited for the draft this year for both the Canadians and overall because of the amount of chaos. We don't know who's going where. It's going to be a great year for the draft, I think. If you're a fan of a team who's in the lottery, if you're a fan of a team who doesn't even have a first-round pick, it's going to be an entertaining draft. I can guarantee you that much.
I think Tyson Forster is a possibility to be with him. I don't know if Konechny's going to be here long-term. That's still to be determined there. Joel Farabee is a maybe if he's going to be here. He's been subjected to trade talks. So you need to get that legit scorer that's going to be paired with him.
Unless they intend on trading away a player like Mason McTavish or for Mitch.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Something like that. I know there's rumblings where Toronto fans are delusional and they're trying to get rid of Mitch Martin to Anaheim because, why not? But yeah, I think I am excited. Macklin Celebrini, I think that's how his name is pronounced. Yeah. I think he's going to be a good player going into the NHL. So I'm more excited to see these young guns come in and enter the league than anything else. I think that's what excites me most about the NHL draft is just seeing those young players come in and maybe the potential impacts that they make on their team.
Iserman has
take a few years to get there.
That I worry about outside of his scoring. Like I said, skating is not one of them because I think this guy. There's not many guys at that age.
Skating can be worked on top.
Exactly. That Tyson Forster, his biggest knock, as Jamey mentioned, was skating. And look at him.
This draft is a better draft than what a lot of people are giving it. I see a lot of people just downplaying after pick 2, saying, "Oh, okay, whatever." No, it's not okay, whatever. There's big inclinations for a lot of the teams. Montreal, with the Flyers. You're looking at Calgary that needs to nail a selection too. There's a lot of different teams that need to nail these selections in order to speed up the rebuild. Chicago Blackhawks even need to nail, San Jose has, pick after pick in this draft. They need to nail, a lot of these picks, to speed up their rebuild possibly.
I think there's a lot of unknown, like a lot of mock drafts I've seen have been all over the place, right?
He's the kind of player I want to see here on Montreal. He's kind of like that. He's kind of like a Brendan Gallagher type in that I think that dedication, everything he gives on the ice, yet he's got way more talent and he is also bigger. And I think he's going to be a great player here in our top 6.
Is it too early for Macklin Celebrini to request a trade from San Jose?
He was not that excited to be going to San Jose.
Yeah, they've dug themselves quite a hole, so they'll be
Yeah.
rebuilding for a while. So that poor bastard, unfortunately, needs to stay there for a while.
In regards to the draft, this is going to be better than what a lot of analysts and stuff and what a lot of pundits are predicting. I really think this is going to be a really good draft here. I really do.
Yeah, I'd say I'm very excited to see those young guys come in and play. It's always good too. Like, if you look at like the Connor Bedards, the McDavids, the Makars and all those, the Simon Nemecks and all those players, it's always good to see them come into the league, make an impact, and young fresh legs and a new perspective on the game.
Whoever your guy is, you go, okay, don't pick him like even if it's early.
You get intense,
You don't expect him to go early, but who knows? Who really knows? It's crazy.
So we'll see. But I still would take him at 12 if he's there. Catton as well. Either one of them, I put them toe to toe because Yzerman's such a deadly scorer that I'd be happy with either one of them.
Yeah.
So again, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I'm excited. I think we're going to see some trades happen too. And I'm excited for the draft. I'm excited for the offseason to see what happens. And come October, we're off to the races.
Oh, so I beat Alex? Is that it?
You beat Alex, yeah. But
Fuck you, Alex.
It's not hard to do, though. I mean, come on.
I'm pretty sure he said something like,
Yeah, this guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud, okay? He's going to come in and he's going to be with Matvey Michkov, and the Flyers are going to go up and they're going to win with 25 cups.
I think that's it for me. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give a thumbs up, leave a comment, and please share this video.